Emma Hardy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In 2015, Samsung produced this advert called Hearing Hands. And in this advert, a whole town learns sign language, and it allows them to communicate with this deaf man. And it's incredibly moving, because you see as he enters every shop, people are signing back to him, people are communicating with him. And this helps break down the barriers and makes him feel part of that wider society. And I challenge anybody here not to watch that advert and feel a little choked up and moved by it, and not to feel inspired that that is exactly the kind of society that we should have. That is exactly what we would want our world to be like. And the slogan for their advertising campaign was, "A world without barriers is our dream too." And surely that should be the dream of the government and, of course, the opposition. And I should mention other companies are available too. The Equalities Act, brought in by the last Labour government, has done a huge amount to improve the lives of deaf people. But there is still a long way to go, and we are in desperate need of more people to learn British Sign Language to get to the stage where we want to be at. Now, schools have the power to create an almost perfect example, an almost microclimate of what our society should be, welcoming and inclusive for everyone, and they can play a massive role in improving people's knowledge of British Sign Language and helping to create a helping hands society. And as a primary teacher, I learnt the very limited amount of sign language, and I will definitely be joining my honourable friend in learning more about this, because it helps to broaden and open up the way that you can communicate with so many more people. And although British Sign Language is recognised as a language in the UK, it's not available as a GCSE that can be taught in schools. Now, during the Labour conference recess last year, I met with the National Deaf Children's Society, who told me that a GCSE in British Sign Language has already been piloted and is ready to go. Now, our children could already have the option, yes, of learning British Sign Language in schools, but the Department for Education is refusing to give the GCSE the go-ahead. And I completely agree with the points that's been made as to when a teacher's supposed to teach it if it's not part of the national curriculum. We already know what is happening to personal and social and health education. It's getting squeezed out to nothing. So even if they said, oh, it's something you could do, how many schools, even if they desperately want to, have the time or the capacity to actually do it? So I want to use my contribution today to call on the government to rethink its approach and make sure that the GCSE qualification is made available as soon as possible. Because not allowing British Sign Language to be taught as a GCSE alongside other languages, many of whom have been mentioned already, implies that it has a lower status and a lower importance than those other languages. And it is hard already for deaf children to feel included when their key way of communicating is not recognised in the curriculum as a GCSE. And there are already loads of GCSEs available on so many subjects, and we're not even asking for British Sign Language to be made compulsory. And while there are, yes, other British Sign Language qualifications students can take, the league table obsessed, data obsessed, exam filled, narrowed, fear-driven schooling curriculum that this government has encouraged for the last 8 years mean they are less likely to be offered in schools because they are not GCSEs. Our examination system, our country's examination system, shows to the world what we value. It stands out there and says, this is what we value because this is what we examine, this is what we count. And the exclusion of British Sign Language from any of those measures is a damning indication of what this government holds in high regard. Because British Sign Language is not a GCSE, it will be seen as having lower status not only by other people, other teachers in the schools, but also by employers. And this makes it harder for deaf children to be able to evidence their full abilities and puts them at a massive disadvantage compared to their peers who are not deaf. But it's not just deaf children who want a GCSE in British Sign Language. The National Deaf Children's Society surveyed lots of different children in 2016 and found that 9 out of 10 young people who weren't deaf agreed that British Sign Language should be offered as a GCSE in schools. This is because they recognise the wider societal benefits that everybody learning British Sign Language could have. Now, my church, the Tower Hill Methodist Church in Hessel, has a volunteer called Kathy who signs all of our services for us. And this has allowed more people to join our community and more people to come to our services. And that's just one example of how British Sign Language allows you to communicate with more people, make new friendships and new experiences that enriches everybody's lives. And outside the Department for Education, the government, I'm sure, must recognise the wider society benefits of British Sign Language too, because the Department for Work and Pension issued a report last year highlighted the shortage in signers, in language interpreters, resulting in higher costs for the government programmes, such as access to work. A British Sign Language GCSE could lead to more people considering interpreting as a career and so help address these issues. The barriers in place to British Sign Language being recognised as part of the curriculum are unfair, they restrict choice and they stand in the way of a much wider societal benefit. A GCSE in British Sign Language has already been piloted and is already ready to go, but it cannot be studied. Why? Political choice, showing again what the government values and what it does not. A world without barriers should be everybody's dream, and this government has it in its power the ability to make a small step towards creating that world, that fictional world that was played on the television on all those adverts in 2015. So I ask the Minister to listen to other honourable members and me and give British Sign Language a GCSE. Thank you.